Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface with another episode of AzChats. If you are new to AzChats, let me just set down some ground rules first. These are normally more podcasty type of videos than visual videos. They're more for your ears as opposed to your eyes. However, I will be putting some visual stimuli on the screen if you are dead set, like in it, on sitting down at your chair on your pooter and watching. Otherwise, you are quite free to roam wherever you need to go around the house, to the basement to chop up those dead bodies, which you of course have been piling up over the course of the weekend. The work of a mass murderer is just never done, is it? Or you could just, go into the kitchen and of course clean the cat's tail, because she's been licking it. And you know where that tongue's been, so it's clearly going to be dirty and stuff. So you can do any, all, or others of the above. And because it is an AzChats, do bear in mind that sometimes things get very heated. Very good potential for that today. Often things get very heated, emotional, shall we say, invested. I get emotionally invested in these videos. And there might be some fruity language. So if you are offended by such things, if your precious ear holes are incapable of hearing just sounds which you hear in a certain manner, which therefore you interpret to offend you, you're quite clearly odd. But if you are, don't listen. And also, if you're under 18, I use your discretion. Don't get all crying and tearful if I say shit or bugger. Heaven help me if I say fuck. Right, so let's get on to the topic of today's conversation. I've got to start it from this giddy position, folks, because if I try to start today's video from a somber and serious point of view, I would probably just shout from start to finish. But if you've seen the thumbnail, you'll have an idea of what it's all about. Southshore versus Tarren Mill. I'm not going to go into my musical rendition of Southshore's a shithole, which of course you can see from a previous Shiny McShine video. If you follow my channel for any length of time, you'll know what that means. If you're new to the channel, and believe me, there is a lot of new people since Shiny McShine made his last appearance. You'll be all sat there going, what the hell is this guy talking about? But yeah, I've got to discuss this holiday event of Southshore versus Tarren Mill. And I will incorporate some other aspects of this anniversary, this 10-year anniversary event, because it's a little bit it's a little bit unfair to Blizzard, some of this, in as much as if I were to take this whole video from the point of view that Blizzard did try, they did want to do something very special for us for the 10th year anniversary. They did try, but they haven't quite succeeded. Then it feels a bit ungrateful. It feels a bit unfair. But at the end of the day, you've also got to look at it from a pragmatic point of view as somebody that wants stuff to do in the World of Warcraft, and it's not quite as you hoped. So I'll very briefly go over a couple of the things for the 10th anniversary. What do we have for the 10th anniversary celebrations? Well, we got the lovely corgi, just by logging in. It is a really nice looking pet. Looks great. Looks really cute. I'll probably get it leveled up to join my pet battle collection, because it's awesome. It's a really nice looking thing. So that's nice. Thank you, Blizzard. That's really cool. And then we have Molten Core 40, which is only available in LFI. You've got to be top level 100, and you've got to have an item level of 615, I believe, or above, with which to queue up for it. And what it is, it's a run of the original Molten Core, with the bosses giving off the abilities that they gave off back in there, but it's all been scaled up to accommodate these level 100 new combatants, and it's fruity language incoming. It's just an absolute shithole. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't. I like the idea. Again, I feel a bit horrible in some instances for saying that. In other instances, I don't, because it's the truth. I feel a bit bad because the compassionate side of me, if such a side exists, I don't know. Many ex-girlfriend will debate that it doesn't. But the compassionate side of me is just like, I never like to rubbish people's stuff, especially when that there's probably been time and effort and expectation, let's put that word in, expectation put into this. But it's god-awful. It is an absolute god-awful affair. I can only imagine this being of any relative fun if you were to go in as a guild. 40 of you queued up. You got into a raid group together and you all queued up, all 40 of you, and then you got in. And then you could have a gay old time with guildies. Or at least there was, 10, 20, however many guildies that join in. So at least you could be on TeamSpeak together, on Ventrilo, Mumble, whatever other shites out there. And, you could be talking and trading stories about old school content and all this kind of stuff. But if you were just desperate to get the mount, because the mount at the end of it, the core hound at the end, is amazing. And I've got to give huge props for the team that designed that. It's a little bit of rework on the current core hound, and it looks delicious, and it's huge. It makes my Pinot feel bigger just by riding it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So big props for the design team that converted that into the gorgeous mount that it is. But let's face it, I did a video a couple of days ago and I likened Molten Core 40 to being offered the chance to have a play with Scarlett Johansson's Wah-Wahs. All you had to do is crawl on your belly, butt naked, with your Pinot hanging out if you're a bloke. If you're a girl and you want to do it with your fun bags and your ginies hanging out across a river of broken glass. Because that's what it felt like to me. It was 2 hours of my life which were just hell. It took me 2 hours to do, and it was so funny because I was reading a lot of the comments for that video. A lot of the comments for that video. And so many people, if you weren't putting what I asked you to put, it was really cool, by the way, to see all that playing the smallest violin for your hours. But a lot of the comments were just like, 2 hours, you're lucky. Took me 4. We got kicked out. Couldn't get, team kept falling apart. There were so many comments, and it was just like, oh my god. I felt slightly better. It was always therapeutic. I felt slightly better because I felt as if I had exorcised my demon of the event, because it was like going to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, I would imagine, or a domestic abuse survivors meeting. I'm not trying to belittle these horrible things which happen to people, but what I'm trying to say is that when you go there, you have a sense of solidarity with the other people around you, because they can empathise. They've all been through what you've been through. And so, nobody's talking from a position of ignorance. And that's how I felt the comment section. The people who had been through this debacle were empathising with me. And that, in my own deprived way, exorcised my demon of the event. My housemate, we will get on to Tarren Southshore shortly. I always like to do plenty of exposition beforehand. My housemate said to me when I was speaking to him this weekend, he said, aren't you going to go back in? And I said, why on earth would I go back in? He said, well, you've got the chance of getting the other pet, and you've got the chance of getting the enchantment. And I was like, yeah, but you've just summed it up there. He said, there is a chance which draws the issue that you may not get. And I have absolutely no plan to go back in, waste 2 hours of my life on that horrible thing, to come out empty-handed for a second time. When you go in there first-handed, you're guaranteed a 640 epic helmet. You're guaranteed the mount. So, you do get that beautiful reward. You do get Scarlett Johansson's Wah-Wahs at the end of it. first time. Second time, you could drag your naked body across that river of broken glass, and she might not be there. And that, my friends, that is a decision that I am not willing to make. I am not willing to make that sacrifice. Now, if Blizzard said, second time you go in, you'll get the enchantment from Raggy, and you'll get the pet from Raggy, I would contemplate doing it a second time. I would, of course, have the lobotomy to start with. So that 10th anniversary content, although I'm sure well intended, I'm not trying to rag on Blizz for this. We'll get to that in Southshore versus Tarren Mill. But so, you know, with all the best intentions of mice and men, I don't think it worked. Nice idea, dismount failed. Fell over on the dismount. It's just not good. It's not fun, and it's definitely no. So I like the, you know, I appreciate the carrot on a stick. I did it. I went for it, and I've got my mount, and I feel very happy that I've got my mount. But I never want to talk about Molten Core 40 past this conversation ever again. Right. So that leads us on to Tarren Mill versus Southshore. Now, contrary to popular belief, I used to do loads of PvP. I used to be a huge enthusiast of PvP. Used to love it. I used to do PvP all the freaking time. I did it a lot in Wrath of the Lich King. I did a lot of it in Burning Crusade. And I did quite a bit of it in Cataclysm as well. I think a little bit more competitively in Cataclysm, actually. Me and my friends, we had arena teams and such. And yeah, we you know, we did okay. I'm not saying that I'm no 220, you know, 2,200 rated guard. You know. I'm not saying that. But I think when I got ranked, you know, we got to around the 1,800 mark, around about that, you know, around about that size. So not terrible, not great, but not terrible. But the thing is, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed getting into battlegrounds, and I enjoyed battleground fun. And then it kind of tapered off a wee bit as classes got a little bit more complicated, in as much as the complication around spells and abilities meant there was a lot more disparaging gap between classes. So I sort of began to fall out and love a wee bit with PvP because of that. And then the pièce de la résistance was, of course, Mists of Pandaria, where they just fucked up PvP from head to toe, tip sideways. And it's very difficult for people that obviously had the classes that were just dominating say, well, no, they didn't. Well, of course, in your eyes they didn't, because you were dominating. But there were so many classes that were just terrible. I mean, monks were just a joke to start with. And I don't mean that in a, like, oh my god, so OP, DK, Wrath the Lich King kind of way. No, they were just awful. They were just terrible. You know, maybe because it was a new class and people were still discovering how to properly play it. And there's only a handful of people that can actually play the monk pretty well. But they were just, you know, they were just, the only thing that a monk was good at doing in PvP was running away. You couldn't catch the bastard, but they weren't going to do particularly much to you if they wanted to go toe-to-toe. You had priests, of course, who in 2 versus 2 were responsible for 25% of all competitive 2v2. What? When you've got 11 classes in the game and one class is taking 25% of the representation for competitive 2v2, you know something is seriously wrong. And I love it when people try and make the argument that well, representation doesn't necessarily mean it's best. Well, for a start, representation means that is the class that's been played the most. As you're very much aware from playing video games, when something's good, people tend to, you know, go towards that flavour of the month, that dominating spec for that field. And of course, the undisputable evidence was if you went to any arena ladder, and it was just like the top 50. I think there was something ridiculous like 48 priests in the top 52 team. It was something absolutely ludicrous like that. It was just like priest another, priest another, priest another, priest another, death knight, death knight, priest another, priest another, priest. It was just like that, and it was just obscene. It was just absolutely obscene. And so they tried to make all the various changes. This is going to freak you out now, because you're going to think that when I get onto the Tarren Southshore stuff, I'm going to go from a position of imbalance. Nothing to do with imbalance. This is just me telling you why I fell out of love with PvP. And I'm not saying warlocks are bad at PvP. I'm just saying this is why I fell out of love with PvP. And then they just totally fucked everything up with baseline resilience and bringing in PvP power, and they just made a right cluster. It's just a complete clusterfuck. It's my new phrase for November. Not long of November left, so that'll be gone soon. But yeah, it's just a complete clusterfuck. It's no matter what they seem to do, it just seemed to make it worse. Made PvP worse. So already I'd fallen out of love with PvP by then. It was just like, look, you know, thanks, sweetheart, but you know, not only do I want to break up with you, I actually don't ever want to speak to you again. And that's the worst kind of a breakup, when you break up with somebody. It's not like when you break up with them, it's just like, you know, we're just not getting along. It's not you, it's me. It's none of that. It's just like, look, this ain't working. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't really want to maintain a friendship either. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. And that's how it kind of felt like. And then they brought out the census, or the censor, whatever it's called, of Eternal Small Penis from the Timeless Isle, which was just, the world's biggest griefing item, where you could just grief your own faction. And I love the way that Blizzard changed it. Just like, we thought this idea, we were really happy with the way this item turned out. So much so, we're actually changing it completely to do not anything that it did before. That, kiddies, is spin. That is spin. That's like when I was talking about in the previous video about putting a spin on things to make something sound good when it's not. Like when the government shut down hospitals and they're just like, oh, we're streamlining our healthcare so we can reinvest the money into a future venture, which basically means, sorry, we've shut down 3 hospitals. So it's like this. Yes, we were so pleased with the way that the Censor Eternal Agony turned out that we completely reworked it to do nothing of what it originally did. I.e., yeah, okay, you fucking drove people crazy with changing it. Which brings us on to Tarren versus Southshore for this holiday event. And I have desperately been trying to play this. And every single time I go into it, the teams are just unbalanced in physical numbers. Not necessarily because of some specs better than other specs, just imbalanced due to the fact that as an alliance player, for some whatever reason, we can't even get half a team together, never mind a full team. And I've been in several now, and the highest numbers the alliance have had is 21, and this is a 40 versus 40 battleground. Now, it was 100 versus 100 at one stage. Blizzard, just a couple of weeks before the launch of Warlords of Draenor, actually kind of snuck out some information. By the way, it's no longer 100 versus 100, it's 40 versus 40, okay, bye. Sort of snuck out this information that it's only 40 versus 40, which is still a considerable amount of people. And I gotta say, I was a wee bit excited about it. I participated in many Tarrenville versus Southshore, I don't know. Tarren versus Southshore organic world PvP back in there. So it was something I was actually looking forward to a wee bit. And I was thinking 40 versus 40, that is big enough numbers for you to physically get lost in a group of people, and I don't have any PvP gear at all. So, you know, I understand that I'm not going to do massively well compared to people that do have the PvP gear, ergo their item level jumps up to 670 or whatever it is. You know, it's quite high, very high. So I appreciate that, but I thought, you know, given given the sheer numbers, I can do what a warlock does best. Just hide at the back and cause all manner of trouble. But as I've just said, for that to happen, you need to have numbers. And I've had 40 versus 21. I've written down the numbers here. I've had 40 versus 17. 40 versus 19. 40 versus 15. 40 versus 20. 40. This is my favourite one. 40 versus 7. And all the 40s, the Horde, and all the other numbers are us guys on the Alliance. And it's just, you know, if you're going to have an event like this, what the fucking hell point is there in launching with those numbers? Because the outcome is already inevitable. It probably wouldn't even matter even if we had like the 40 versus the 20 or the 17. If we had 17 of the world's greatest PvP players, the likelihood is probably 40. 40 might be enough to overwhelm them. But of course, this isn't the World Championships. This is like 17 lambs to the slaughter. And with those overwhelming odds, there's nothing you can do. The numbers game just overwhelms you. So you start off by sort of gingerly venturing out because you don't want to stray too far from Southshore because they have twice as many as you. And then they just come balls deep, you know, no lube, straight up your ass. And it's just like, ah! And you're just overwhelmed. And the worst thing is, from the first sortie, where all 40 of these marauding hordes, and this is not a Horde versus Lions thing, Hordes, you know, I'm not having a go at you, I love you just as much as Lions. Where we just, as soon as you're swamped and as soon as you're annihilated in that first exchange, what happens next? They just sit on the fucking graveyard. Sit on the graveyard! So from the very start of the fight, it's just an almighty corpse camping piece of shit! What? Now, I don't know which crazy son of a bitch at Blizzard decided this is a really good idea. But it is clearly only fun for 50%. Well, it's not even 50% because the other side doesn't even make 50% of the numbers up. It's 50% of the factions in this case, I should say, from my point of view. Only one side's having fun. You throw 40 against 20, 40 against 17, 40 against 15, 40 against 7. You throw that together, there is a recipe here, and that recipe makes one thing. Victory for the side that has 40. That is all. So, why hasn't something been done? To be quite honest with you. Now, I have yet to get in. You know, if I'm going to go in a little bit later on, I tried to go in early morning. I tried to go in mid-morning. I understand that some peeps will be at school, some peeps will be at work. But in the same breath, if the Horde can get 40 people, are you telling me that Hordes don't work for a living? Hordes don't go to school for a living? No, of course they fucking do. They go as much as the Alliance goddamn do. They're still hard-working people. They're still students. They're still parents. They're still, you know, disability picking up bums. No, you know, so it's nothing to do with, well, the kids are in school. Or, you know, the kids are off school, depending on which side of the coin you want to play that game on. The Horde's just full of kids. Yeah, the Alliance are just full of kids. I got it on both sides. When I was a member of the Horde, oh, it's just kids play Alliance. When I became a member of the Alliance, oh, it's just fucking kids that play Horde. I guarantee you there's plenty of kids that play both sides. Guarantee you there's plenty of adults that play both sides. So, I mean, so it's just, this is just like an inability to get numbers for one team. So, number one, either you don't launch, it's as simple as that. You know, we're all so used now to ridiculous long queue times on no matter what we want to do. Log into the game, queue up for a dungeon, queue up for a raid, if you are into LFR and that kind of stuff. Queue up for a BG half the time. Queues are just fucking out of control. And there's no point saying, well, look, we'll alleviate the queue by launching, because then it's an inevitable result. 7 people can't fight off 40. 15 people can't fight off 40. Especially when every kill's worth fucking, 1 notch of the 300 upwards, whatever it is. It's just not feasibly possible. The only way that that's going to happen is if they knock on the door and say, excuse me, Horde or Alliance, whichever one's dominating, would you be so kind as to just filter yourselves in, one by one, into Tarren Mill or Southshore, allowing us to pick you off. Thank you ever so much. We've got to win, folks. It don't work like that. You get a fucking army of 40 people going, eating your face. That's what you get. And that's what I've had in all these battlegrounds. And ironically, one of the funniest things, the very first one that I was in, where we just got hit straight away. I think that one we had 17 people. I think that was the 17 people. We got hit, boosh, straight away by a wave of 40 Hordes, and then we're immediately graveyard corpse camped from there on in. We couldn't even leave the fucking graveyard. Couldn't even leave it. Some of the footage showing throughout the course of this video would have displayed. It just turned into an inevitable corpse camp. And I decided to take, to pose some opinions on Twitter, with some oh, why are you mad, bro? Oh, you need to calm down. Fuck you. Fuck off. I'll calm down when I want to calm down. If I want to express opinion on the internet, I'll express an opinion on the internet. But in the time it took me to do a couple of tweets, when I went back to the game, it kicked me out. It kicked me out for inactivity. Because I didn't decide to release my body and go to the graveyard, wait 30 seconds for me to get anally fucked dry again. I decided to wait out my my resurrection timer. No, I'm gonna force the 6 minutes upon me before my spirit is released, before you smack me over the neck with whichever weapon, bend me over, and then take me like I've never been took before. But no, apparently after about 2 minutes of that, it's just like, no, fuck you, you deserter, fuck off. How dare you not participate with the rest of your, by now down to about 12 fucking people. And it's just, oh no, yeah, sorry, my bad. Please punish me for being one of 12 odd people left now, while the 40 Horde is going, this is fucking great, this is just free fucking honor points. I'm loving this. Thank you, Blizzard. This is the best thing I've ever seen in PvP. And that's when you go on online and go, look, how is this fun? And you got Hordes going, well, I think it's fun. Of course you think it's fucking fun. You're steamrolling every match because the Alliance can't get people together. Or it could easily be the other way around. The Horde are being annihilated because they can't get enough people together for the Alliance, and the Alliance is just waving through. So if stuff like this is just clearly happening immediately, Blizz need to just look, we can't get these numbers right. Fuck it, we'll cut it in half. We'll go 20-20. It looks like that we can get at least as near to a team of 20 as possible. Then we'll just go 20-20 and have 20 versus 20. At least that way, if the Alliance gets 17 people and the Horde, of course, will fill it with 20, then there'll be some fighting chance for both sides to have any sort of competitive match. But if you say, well, but we can't do that because then the Horde are going to have extended queue times. Well, no disrespect to the Horde here, and hear me here when I say fuck that, because it's not fair on the Alliance if you let 40 people loose on 15. How is that fair? Well, it cuts down on their queue time. They're never going to win. It's always going to be one-sided. They're never going to fucking win, you doofuses. But, this is Blizz logic. This is Blizz logic. I.e., there isn't any. Zero logic. And I know this is a timed event. This is the thing, you see. It's another argument here. Just fuck it. Fuck it. Who cares? Because, at the beginning of next year, this goes. This is only here for a limited time only. There are no battlegrounds in Warlords of Draenor. It's only Ashran. There are no battlegrounds, so this special battleground event that we've got is only going to be here for a limited time only. I would have, if I were Blizzard, have made a decision to say, well, do you know something? Yes, we've really limited the options for PvP here, because we're sort of like, if you want to get anywhere, it's got to be Ashran, and then we because everyone's got to do Ashran for PvP. Then of course we just say, hey, Ashran is a massive success because everyone's doing it. It's the only fucking thing available for them to do. Of course they're going to be going into there. It's the only goddamn thing they can do. So I would have just, said, look, we've made this battleground. Let's do something with it. Turn it into a 2020 and just have it as a deathmatch. Or stick some objectives. Stick some flags on fucking buildings or whatever. I don't give a shit. But let's bring that in as a more permanent PvP battleground. But currently, I can't have fun in Southshore versus Tarren because we can't even get a fucking team together. We can't even get a team together. So I might try again. I might try at the peak of European time tonight, when we've probably got our best shot at 40 versus 40 to get some sort of semblance of order. But the footage, I only filmed a couple of the BG. I only filmed a couple of them. But it's just like, what is so difficult about actually making some decisions as things go along? I know that people have been drastically complaining about huge frame rate drops in it. Cut it down. Just say, look, all right, we wanted it 100 versus 100. We decided definitely after the testing phase internally, because we never even got to test it 100-100, that was never going to happen. So we switched it to 40-40, and then that's still impacting so many other people's PCs. And also the fact that one side can't even get a fucking team together. Let's knock it to 2020. You shouldn't have any frame rate issues with 2020. You should be able to get two teams together in a reasonable time to allow them to have a competitive fight. But oh my god! So Tarren Mill versus Southshore. Actually, Blizzard, it is absolutely spot on. It reminds me exactly of how things used to be. Heavily outnumbered and graveyard camped. So if that was what you're going for, you got it absolutely spot on. Well done, Blizz. Job done. So there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What have your experiences of Tarren Mill Southshore been so far? Have they been good? No, as we've been having 40 versus 40 fights and they've been, toing and throwing and it's been good fun. Or let me know if you've also experienced what I've experienced. Doesn't matter if you're Horde or Alliance. I'm here from all factions. All of you, all together at the same time. All over my face. You tell me your horror stories, or if you've been on the team where there's like 40 of you, what is the lowest number of people that you've come across? Literally, because you'll be fucking ass raping them. What is the lowest number of people that you've been coming across? Is it fun to corpse camp, graveyard camp for 20 minutes while you wait for the numbers to tick up to 300? Because I can't see that being too much fun for the opposition as well. Yes, they know the guaranteed wins, but the honour points are going to be low. The fun level is going to be low. I don't know. Anything that you want. Or if you just want to talk to me about your cat, then by all means stick it in the comment section. But either or, all I can say is I hope you enjoyed the vid. And if you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media as well as twitch.tv for live streaming. And I shall be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.